What happens when one of music's biggest legends sits down for what should be a simple morning chat and instead faces a host who seems determined to make him the villain? In just 37 seconds, a single dismissive comment would turn a friendly interview into the most shocking walkout in daytime television history. The studio lights were bright that morning, and Elton John had arrived ready to talk about his latest charity work. He settled into the guest chair, his trademark glasses catching the light as he smiled warmly at the audience. Lorraine Kelly sat across from him, flanked by her regular panelists, Marcus and Shauna, both nodding along as the camera started rolling. "So, Elton," Lorraine began, her tone already carrying an edge that seemed out of place for a morning show. "Let's talk about your charity work. Though I have to say, some people are wondering if this is really about helping others, or just another way to stay relevant." The audience went quiet. Elton's smile faltered for just a moment before he responded with grace. "Well, Lorraine, I've been doing charity work for over 3 decades now. It's always been about giving back, especially to causes close to my heart." Lorraine leaned forward, ignoring his answer entirely. Right. But you have to admit, these celebrity charity things, they're really just photo opportunities, aren't they? I mean, how much of the money actually goes to the people who need it?" Marcus, sitting to Lorraine's left, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Shauna looked down at her notes, clearly sensing the tension building in the room. Elton took a deep breath, maintaining his composure. "Actually, our foundation has raised over £400 million for HIV and AIDS programs. 93% goes directly to the programs. We're very transparent about our work." 93%, Lorraine repeated, her voice dripping with skepticism. "That's what you say, but we all know how these things work. Celebrities love to throw galas and pat themselves on the back while taking tax write-offs." The audience gasped. This wasn't the warm, friendly interview anyone had expected. Elton's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Lorraine, I'm not sure what you're trying to imply here, but I've dedicated a massive part of my life to this work. People are alive today because of what we've done." "Oh, here we go," Lorraine said, waving her hand dismissively. The big emotional plea. "Look, Elton, I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. You celebrities live in your mansions and private jets. Then you want us regular people to donate our hard-earned money to your causes. It's a bit rich, don't you think?" Marcus finally spoke up, his voice careful. "Lorraine, I think maybe we should—" "No, Marcus, let me finish," Lorraine cut him off sharply. "Someone needs to ask these questions. Elton here wants to be praised for his charity work, but he won't. Talk about how much he spends on fresh flowers for his homes every week. I've read the stories. Thousands of pounds on flowers while asking working families to chip in for AIDS research." Elton's face flushed, but his voice remained remarkably calm. "How I spend my own money that I've earned through 50 years of hard work has absolutely nothing to do with the charity. And frankly, I don't appreciate the insinuation that I'm somehow exploiting people." "Exploiting?" Lorraine laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the studio. "I never said exploiting, but since you brought it up, let's talk about your ticket prices. Regular fans can't even afford to see you anymore. But sure, they should donate to your foundation, right?" Shauna cleared her throat, trying to redirect. "Perhaps we could talk about the actual programs the foundation supports. I've heard wonderful things about the work in—" "Shauna, please," Lorraine interrupted again, her focus laser sharp on Elton. "We're having a real conversation here for once. Not the usual softball celebrity interview where everyone pretends everything is perfect." Elton leaned back in his chair, his patience clearly wearing thin. "Lorraine, I came here thinking we were going to have a respectful conversation. I've been nothing but honest about my work. If you have actual questions about the foundation, I'm happy to answer them. But these personal attacks are completely uncalled for." "Personal attacks?" Lorraine's voice rose. "Oh, that's rich coming from someone who's thrown tantrums and walked out of interviews before. What, you can't handle a few tough questions? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Celebrity entitlement. You think you can just float through life and everyone should bow down and thank you. The audience was dead silent now. Even the cameras seemed to be holding their breath. Marcus looked genuinely distressed, mouthing something that might have been "stop" to Lorraine, but she was on a roll. "You know what your problem is, Elton," Lorraine continued, pointing her finger across the table. "You're so used to being surrounded by yes men and people kissing up to you that you've forgotten what it's like to have a real conversation, to be challenged, to be treated like a normal person instead of royalty." Elton's composure was cracking now, his voice tight with controlled anger. "A normal person? Lorraine, you've done nothing but attack me from the moment I sat down. You've questioned my integrity, my motives, and my character. That's not challenging questions. That's just being rude." "Rude?" Lorraine scoffed. "I'll tell you what's rude. What's rude is coming on this show, on my show, and expecting everyone to just fawn all over you. Well, I'm not going to do it. Someone needs to hold people like you accountable." "Accountable for what exactly?" Elton's voice was rising now despite his best efforts. "For raising hundreds of millions of pounds to fight a disease? For using my platform to help people who have no voice? What exactly am I supposed to be accountable for, Lorraine?" "For being out of touch," Lorraine shot back. "For living in a bubble, where you think buying expensive flowers and flying private jets doesn't contradict telling everyone else to care about the environment and social causes. You can't have it both ways." Marcus tried again, his voice more urgent this time. "Lorraine, I really think we should take a break, or—" "Marcus, I swear if you interrupt me one more time," Lorraine snapped at him before turning back to Elton. "And another thing, this whole nice guy image you've cultivated over the years. We all know you have a temper. We've all heard the stories from people who've worked with you. The diva behavior, the demands. But you come on shows like this and play the humble philanthropist." Elton stood up abruptly, pulling off his microphone. "I'm not doing this. I came here in good faith to talk about important work, and you've turned this into some kind of personal vendetta. I don't know what I did to upset you, Lorraine, but this is beyond unprofessional." "Oh, there it is!" Lorraine practically shouted, standing up as well. "The walkout! How predictable! Can't handle the heat, so you run away. This is exactly what I was talking about. You people think the rules don't apply to you." "The rules?" Elton's voice was incredulous. "What rules? The rule that says I have to sit here and be insulted? That I have to smile and nod while you make up accusations about my character?" Shauna stood up too, trying to physically position herself between them. "Please, both of you, let's just calm down and—" "Stay out of this, Shauna," Lorraine barked. "This is between me and him. Elton here wants to lecture the world about compassion and kindness, but he can't even handle a tough interview without throwing a fit." "A tough interview?" Elton laughed, bitterly. "Is that what you call this? You haven't asked me a single genuine question about the foundation, about the work we do, about the lives we've saved. All you've done is attack me personally and make baseless accusations." "Baseless?" Lorraine's face was red now. "Everything I've said is public knowledge. Your spending habits are documented. Your temper is legendary. Your ticket prices are astronomical. These are facts, Elton. Facts." "Facts presented with venom and spite," Elton countered. "You're not interested in the truth, Lorraine. You're interested in tearing me down, and I genuinely don't understand why." Marcus stood up now too, his voice pleading. "Can we please just everyone take a breath? This has gotten completely out of hand. Lorraine, maybe we should what, Marcus? Let him off easy? Pretend like this is all fine? No. I'm tired of celebrities coming on shows and getting softball treatment. I'm tired of the hypocrisy." "Then, ask real questions." Elton's voice boomed through the studio. "Ask me about infection rates. Ask me about our outreach programs. Ask me about the clinics we fund. Ask me anything actually related to the work instead of fixating on how much I spend on flowers." "Because it matters," Lorraine yelled back. It matters that you're asking people who are struggling to make ends meet to donate money while you live in obscene luxury. It matters that you preach about social responsibility while flying around in private jets. The hypocrisy matters. I have never asked anyone to donate who couldn't afford it, Elton said, his voice dangerously quiet now. Never. Our fundraising comes from people who want to help, who choose to help. And yes, I've been fortunate enough to have success in my career, but I've also given more money to charity than most people will ever see in their lifetime. So forgive me if I don't feel guilty about how I spend what I've earned. Lorraine crossed her arms. There it is. The defensiveness, the justification. You can't even see how you sound right now, can you? This is exactly the problem with celebrity culture. You're all so far removed from reality that you can't even comprehend how your actions look to regular people. Regular people, Elton repeated slowly. Lorraine, you're a television host. You're not exactly working in a factory. This moral high ground you're trying to claim is completely absurd. Don't you dare compare us, Lorraine hissed. I worked my way up from nothing. I didn't get handed a record deal and instant fame. I earned every single thing I have. And you think I didn't? Elton's voice was filled with disbelief. You think success just fell into my lap? I've worked for 50 years, Lorraine. 50 years of writing, performing, touring. I've earned my success just as much as you've earned yours. The difference, Lorraine said coldly, is that I stayed humble. I stayed connected to real people. I didn't lose myself in fame and fortune. Elton shook his head slowly. You know what, Lorraine? I feel sorry for you. I really do. Because this anger, this bitterness, it's not really about me at all, is it? This is about something else entirely. Don't you psychoanalyze me, Lorraine snapped. This is about you and your inability to accept criticism. Criticism? Elton laughed without humor. You call this criticism? This is a character assassination. There's a difference between asking tough questions and launching personal attacks. And you've been doing nothing but the latter since I sat down. Shauna tried once more, her voice gentle but firm. Lorraine, he's right. This has gone too far. We should end the segment and... We'll end it when I say we end it, Lorraine cut her off. This is my show. Actually, Elton said quietly, picking up his jacket from the back of the chair, I'm ending it right now. Because I don't have to sit here and take this abuse. And it is abuse, Lorraine. Make no mistake about that. Abuse? Lorraine's voice dripped with sarcasm. Oh, please, you're so dramatic. This is exactly what I mean about celebrity fragility. One tough interview, and you're crying abuse. Tough interview, Elton repeated, his voice sad now rather than angry. You keep saying that, but there's nothing tough about what you've done here today. Tough interviews ask hard questions and expect honest answers. What you've done is bully and belittle. There's no journalism in that. There's no integrity in that. How dare you question my integrity? Lorraine seethed. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've interviewed hundreds of people. And you know what? Most of them can handle a little pushback without falling apart. Pushback? Elton's voice rose again. You've questioned my motives, my character, my lifestyle, my work, and my sincerity. You've implied I'm a fraud and a hypocrite. That's not pushback, Lorraine. That's hostility. Marcus stepped forward, his hands raised in a peacekeeping gesture. Okay, I think we really need to stop this now. The audience is uncomfortable. The crew is uncomfortable. We're all uncomfortable. This isn't what we signed up for. Then leave, Lorraine said coldly, not taking her eyes off Elton. All of you. If you can't handle real television, if you can't handle someone actually speaking truth to power, then go. Truth to power? Elton's voice was incredulous. Is that really what you think this is? Lorraine, you've used your platform to launch a personal attack. That's not speaking truth to power. That's abusing your power. I have power? Lorraine laughed harshly. That's hilarious, coming from someone who's been powerful and privileged his entire adult life. You have no idea what it's like to really struggle, to really fight for every opportunity. You've been coddled and protected and celebrated for decades. You don't know anything about my life, Elton said quietly. You don't know about the struggles, the discrimination, the fights I've had to fight. You've reduced me to a caricature in your head, and you're attacking that instead of the real person standing in front of you. Oh, here we go with the victim routine, Lorraine sneered. Poor little Elton John, so misunderstood. Give me a break. You're one of the most successful musicians in history. You've sold hundreds of millions of records. You've been knighted. You're worth hundreds of millions of pounds. But sure, you're the victim here. I never said I was a victim, Elton replied, his voice steady again. I said you don't know me, and you don't. You've decided who I am based on whatever narrative you've built in your head, and nothing I say is going to change that. So I'm leaving. Of course you are, Lorraine said triumphantly. Run away. That's what people like you do when things get uncomfortable. You run back to your bubble where everyone tells you how wonderful you are. Elton paused at the edge of the stage, turning back to look at Lorraine. You know what the saddest part of all this is? I actually admired your work. I thought you were fair and thoughtful. But this is beneath you, Lorraine. Or at least I thought it was. Save your condescension, Lorraine shot back. I don't need your approval or your admiration. What I need is for people like you to be held accountable for your hypocrisy. And what I need, Elton said softly, is to be treated with basic human decency, something you seem incapable of providing today. Shauna was crying now, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Marcus looked devastated, his head in his hands. The audience sat frozen, unsure whether to react or stay silent. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Lorraine called after Elton as he started to walk away again. You'll be fine. You'll go back to your mansion and your flowers and your private jets, and you'll forget all about this, because people like you always do. You float through life never facing any real consequences. Elton stopped walking, but didn't turn around. The real consequence, Lorraine, is that you've revealed something about yourself today. And once people see that, they can't unsee it. Is that a threat? Lorraine's voice was sharp. It's an observation, Elton replied, finally turning to face her one last time. You had a chance to have a meaningful conversation about important work. Work that saves lives. But instead, you chose to make this about your own agenda, whatever that is. And that choice says everything about who you are as a journalist and as a person. Get out of my studio, Lorraine said coldly. Gladly, Elton responded. But know this, I'll continue doing the work. I'll continue raising money and awareness. I'll continue helping people. Because that's what actually matters. Not this circus you've created here today. How noble. Lorraine's voice was ice. The great Elton John, rising above it all. Well, let me tell you something. This interview is going to air exactly as it happened, and people are going to see you for who you really are. A spoiled, entitled celebrity who can't handle being questioned. Air it, Elton said calmly. Please do, because people will also see you for who you are. And I don't think you're going to like what they see. Are you done? Lorraine asked, her arms still crossed. I've been done for the last 15 minutes, Elton said. You were just too busy attacking me to notice. He walked off the stage then, his footsteps echoing in the silent studio. Marcus and Shauna watched him go, neither of them looking at Lorraine. The audience remained frozen, unsure what to do. Lorraine stood there for a moment, breathing hard, before turning to the cameras. Well, there you have it, folks. The real Elton John. Can't handle a few tough questions without storming. Off like a child. Marcus finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Lorraine, What did you just do?" "I did what needed to be done," Lorraine replied firmly. "I asked the questions no one else has the guts to ask." "Those weren't questions," Shauna said quietly, her voice shaking. "That was an ambush. That was cruel." "Oh, not you too," Lorraine snapped. "I expected better from you, Shauna." "And I expected better from you," Shauna replied, standing up and removing her own microphone. "I can't be part of this. I won't be." She walked off the set too, leaving Marcus and Lorraine alone. The audience had started to murmur now, the shock beginning to wear off. "Anyone else want to abandon ship?" Lorraine called out, her voice brittle. "Anyone else want to defend the precious celebrity?" Marcus looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "He was right, you know, about what this revealed about you. I've worked with you for 3 years, Lorraine, and I've never seen you like this. This wasn't journalism. This was something else. Something ugly." "Then leave," Lorraine said flatly. "If you don't have the spine for real television, then leave." Marcus stood up slowly, carefully removed his microphone, and placed it on his chair. He didn't say another word as he walked off the set. Lorraine was alone now, standing in the middle of the stage with the lights still glaring down and the cameras still rolling. The audience had gone completely quiet again, watching her with a mixture of shock and disappointment. She opened her mouth to speak, to justify what had happened, to explain her position, but no words came out. For the first time that morning, Lorraine Kelly was speechless. The silence stretched on, heavy and uncomfortable, filling the studio like a thick fog. Someone in the audience coughed. A camera operator shifted his weight. But still, Lorraine said nothing. Finally, she turned and walked off the stage herself, leaving the set empty except for the vacant chairs and the lingering tension of what had just unfolded. In the hallway backstage, Elton was being comforted by several production assistants who had witnessed the whole thing on monitors. They apologized profusely, clearly horrified by what their host had done. "It's all right," Elton said gently, though his hands were still shaking slightly. "It's not your fault. Sometimes people reveal who they really are, and all we can do is walk away." One of the assistants, a young woman named Claire, looked at him with tears in her eyes. "My brother is alive because of your foundation. He was diagnosed 6 years ago, and your programs helped him get treatment when he couldn't afford it. I just wanted you to know that. Your work matters. It really, really matters." Elton's eyes welled up, and he pulled Claire into a hug. "Thank you for telling me that. That's exactly why we do what we do." Marcus appeared in the hallway then, looking shaken. "Elton, I'm so sorry. That was completely unacceptable. I should have done more to stop it." "You tried," Elton said kindly. "You tried several times. She wouldn't listen." "I don't know what got into her," Marcus said, running his hands through his hair. "I've never seen her like that. It was like she was possessed by something. Some kind of anger or resentment that just took over." Shauna joined them, having removed her stage makeup in the dressing room. "I quit," she announced. "I can't work on a show that treats guests like that. I won't." "You don't have to quit on my account," Elton said. "It's not just on your account," Shauna replied. "It's on my own. I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror, and if I stay after witnessing that, I won't be able to." Back on the empty stage, a producer had finally called for the cameras to stop rolling. The audience was being ushered out, many of them talking in hushed, shocked voices about what they had just witnessed. "Did you see that?" one woman whispered to her friend. "I've never seen anything like it. She was so mean to him." "He handled it well, though," her friend replied. "He kept his cool for as long as anyone could. I would have left much sooner." "I felt so bad for him," another audience member chimed in. "He came here to talk about helping people, and she just attacked him. What was she thinking?" The murmurs continued as the audience filed out, and it was clear that the consensus was firmly against Lorraine. Whatever she had hoped to accomplish with her confrontational approach, it had backfired spectacularly. In the production booth, the director sat with his head in his hands. "We can't air this," he muttered. "We absolutely cannot air this." "She said to air it exactly as it happened," his assistant reminded him nervously. "I don't care what she said," the director snapped. "This is a disaster, a complete and total disaster. If we air this, the show is finished. We'll lose sponsors. We'll lose viewers. We'll lose everything." But even as he said it, he knew the decision wasn't really his to make. And he knew that somehow, some way, the world was going to find out what had happened in that studio. Things like this never stayed secret for long. In a quiet corner backstage, Elton sat alone for a moment, collecting his thoughts. He thought about all the interviews he had done over his 5-decade career. The good ones, the bad ones, the awkward ones. But nothing quite like this. He thought about the people his foundation had helped, the lives saved, the families kept together, the hope provided in the darkest of times. That was what mattered. That was what he needed to remember. Not this ugliness, not this hostility, not this bizarre confrontation with a host who seemed determined to tear him down for reasons he still didn't fully understand. He took a deep breath, stood up, and walked toward the exit. His car was waiting. His life was waiting. His work was waiting. And as he stepped out into the daylight, leaving the studio and its drama behind him, Elton John felt something unexpected. Not anger, not hurt, but relief. Relief that he had walked away. Relief that he had maintained his dignity. Relief that he had stayed true to himself, even in the face of such hostility. Behind him, the studio was in chaos. Production staff were arguing. Executives were making emergency phone calls. And somewhere in the building, Lorraine Kelly sat alone, perhaps beginning to realize what she had done. But Elton didn't look back. He got into his car and drove away, leaving the whole ugly scene behind him. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to engage with toxicity. Sometimes, walking away is the bravest choice.